in the red.
Rita, you ready? Fight!
Mikkelson sits down, wants to show off some of this black belt rated guard work of hers. Rita Gribben, also a black belt. Hometown of Winnipeg, Canada. Game of footsies, that looks tight. You know, guys, anytime you go for a lower body manipulation, in this case an ankle lock, or if you get fancy and try to turn that into a heel hook, but anytime you're below the waist, whatever it is you see or whatever it is you think you have, you are giving your opponent the same thing. There is no way to sit down and drop back for an ankle without having your own ankle in some level of jeopardy. I bring that to you because more times than not, we will see somebody start to go below the waist, and it's their opponent who a moment ago was on defense is now on offense. Oh, by the way, it's the same offense. Rita Gribben did a very good job. She found herself in a scramble. She's trying to come out on top. Mikkelson is reaching down with her left arm, guys. The reason that Rita Gribben cannot advance here is because Mikkelson is reaching down with her right arm underneath and securing a foot. But she's just holding that foot in place. And you'll want to notice both athletes' knee, particularly right there at the bend of the knee. If that knee is not part of the exchange, meaning the knee is not trapped or secured with the groin, with the legs, with the thighs, the submission is not going to work. You can have the perfect bite on a foot. If you have not secured your opponent's knee, you are not going to finish the technique. And that's what both of these ladies are doing a very good job with defensively. Now, Mikkelson sure thinks she knows something the rest of us don't. She's now got the knee involved. She's now got the knee involved. She's going to need a little bit deeper hook of that foot. But to my point, anything that Mikkelson goes for below the waist, Gribben can also go for, and that's what we're seeing here. This position was done by Mikkelson. But Rita Gribben has the same opportunities. And now Gribben with a 2-on-1 looking to bend the foot of her opponent. One thing that we've noticed through Submission Underground and professional grappling is that these athletes are learning leg locks younger and earlier in their careers than they used to. That used to be more of an advanced level technique where you would have a brown belt. By example, you have spent 3 or 4 years in the practice room before your coach ever shows you a technique that goes below the waist. We're starting to see leg attacks almost as a prerequisite, in large part due to Craig Jones, in large part due to these athletes who have shown how it's effective. Why attack half of the body? Why wouldn't I attack the entire body? Gribben now with a triangle. She's looking to pull this out. I apologize. Gribben had what's known as a cradle, but she's looking to adjust that into a triangle. Mikkelson sits all the way back to defend the triangle and finds herself in a leg lock position. Okay, now notice Mikkelson's legs. Notice where her legs are crossed there. She has now got Rita Gribben's knee as part of the equation. This is the first time that Gribben could be in real danger. Gribben needs first and foremost to get control of that knee joint back. Even before she needs to clear the activity that's going on her toes and feet, she needs to get her knee joint back. Mikkelson trying to turn her. Rita Gribben rolling with it. The cage so far, not a redderant.
10 seconds.
Great exchange here by both ladies, I must tell you. Wow. Back and forth. I realize we do not score the regulation period. I'm just speaking in terms of if you were to score it, that's about as close to a draw as you're going to come across. A flip of a coin. Rita Gribben's color comes up. Rita is electing to defer. Kristin Mikkelson will have her choice, and she has requested back control.
Are you both locked in? Ready? Go!
Bottom of the first overtime exchange between these two. Mikkelson on top. Gribben in the red. On bottom. Gribben doing a very good job of hiding her chin. She pushes up on that elbow. That's another good way to clear it. She's electing to try to get a 2-on-1, which just means two of her hands on one of her opponents. I expect an explosive turn by Gribben here at some point. Once she realizes that her neck is not in danger, and in this position, it's not. But it's going to take an explosive movement for Gribben to get free. If she can either get her shoulders onto the mat or she can turn and face her opponent, the referee will break this action. Gribben is putting what appears to be 100% focus into stopping the choke. I feel as though she has succeeded. She is yet to put any focus on getting out of this position, which ultimately is the other thing the referee is looking for. Gribben is going to need an explosive turn, otherwise that clock is going to keep ticking against her. A minute, 20 seconds of control by Mikkelson, who does not have a choke. But Gribben has yet to turn, and it's very, very easy for me to say. I see that her body is trapped. She's very close right here. A little bit more movement. Gribben, in many ways, took her time there. She had an emphasis on defending the choke. She succeeded. She was very successful, but there's two battles going on. The second is with the hips and the freeing of the hips. Rita Gribben, who deferred in the open, gets her choice now. She's going to go for the arm.
All right, are you both ready?
More descriptively, she's going for the right arm of Mikkelson. Mikkelson bringing her far foot to the chest. That's just to create a little bit of space. Gribben trying to do the same thing. If she can break the lock, then she can arch the hips. That's where the pressure is going to come onto the arm, and that's where she will be able to find a submission. Time is slowly starting to tick back towards Gribben, who gave up over a minute and 20 seconds. She has now got 32 of those seconds back. Mikkelson only has a couple of options here. Option one, sit up. Crowd in, pull your elbow back. Option two, roll. Pull your arm free. Option three is to freeze the position, not be submitted. The other side of that coin is each second Mikkelson's lead gets smaller. Rita Gribben doing a good job here. She needs to keep this control with her left leg. Notice how her left leg is engaged. If her left leg is to come off, Kristin will be free and the referee will stop the action. We are very close here, guys. Mikkelson still has the advantage, but it's inside of 10 seconds. This is one of the most competitive, one of the closest matches I can recall seeing in Submission Underground. Big shout out to the matchmaker, Heather Standing. She definitely got this one right. Okay, now a body triangle. A body triangle by Mikkelson. That is a harder and tighter position than the one that Rita Gribben had trouble defending before. This is a better spot for Mikkelson. I would argue this is a worse spot for Gribben. And once you start getting into these overtimes, once you leave regulation, or in all fairness, even get to the back end of regulation, that's where fatigue starts to play in. That's where you start to ask yourself and find out in front of the world, did this athlete prepare correctly? Did the athlete prepare for a worst case scenario, which is I'm going to have to be out there a while? Mikkelson is very high. When she's high, she can maintain control of those hips, but she is very unlikely to find a submission. I feel as though Rita Gribben, in both of these exchanges, has been very successful at stopping the submission and not having enough of an emphasis on the other part of the game, which is getting your hips free. If you'll notice, there is nothing endangering around Rita Gribben's neck. She has succeeded in stopping the submission threat. She now has to move on to the second problem, body triangle. Gribben stepping over her leg. If she arches her hips here, it could put enough pressure on Mikkelson's legs that she lets go, but I'm not seeing the arch of the hips there. Now Rita's starting to arch. Rita, again, she is in no danger of being choked out. No, that choke will not work. It is too low.
I'll do arm again. Arm again? Same arm? Yeah.
Rita has elected, I heard her tell the referee, to not only take the arm again, she said, I want the same arm.
Let me get hers first.
Kristin Mikkelson, it makes you wonder at some point, how much does she have left in her grip? I saw her shake her hands out there, trying to bring a little bit of feeling back, trying to get some blood flow going. Now, this is a pretty tight bite by Gribben. All Gribben's looking to do here is to extend her hips. You can see where she's arching. She's pushing her legs one way. She's expanding her hips, and she's going to begin to turn her head the opposite way. She's going to put full force into this. Mikkelson doing everything right, which is to sit up and pressure in. It's a battle of pressure. How much can Mikkelson generate straight down? How much can Gribben generate to extend? Mikkelson doing a very good job of freezing the position. Gribben is slipping off to a triangle. That is one submission into another. The referee will let that go. Gribben would serve herself well to reach up and grab her own foot. To reach up and grab her left foot as a way of maintaining this position. Under a minute here. Mikkelson trying to get free. She is. Break in the action. Mikkelson, as we move into the final exchange, Mikkelson clearly has an advantage time-wise. And this is where mental toughness starts to come in. How bad do I want it? Do I want it more than my opponent? Mikkelson electing to go to the arm, the right arm of Rita Gribben. It is Gribben's turn to try to sit up. Gribben doing a good job of sitting up. If she can step both feet over, she can be free here. We saw Cowboy Cerrone in the same position a week ago. But both legs have to come over. You'll notice Mikkelson is trying to block her. She's trying to stop a leg. One leg's over. If Gribben just steps both legs, she will be out. She can simply circle. She can simply circle. She doesn't have to stop partway here. Gribben trying to do this a little different than what I'm describing, but if she jumps both legs over, she will be free of this position. Mikkelson, okay, and Gribben does get her legs over. She does get free.
Am I allowed to know how much time I need? No?
This will be our final exchange. Gribben is going to have to make a choice. She has gone for an arm twice. She failed to get a submission twice. She is now going to elect to take the back. This will be the final exchange. The unofficial clock in my head says Gribben needs a submission. I do not believe riding this timeout will be enough. She's elected to take the back, does Gribben. She's doing a good job. She's doing a good job of controlling those hips. She's starting to bring her leg over. Gribben wants to hook that arm down. Notice how she's got a bite on that elbow. She wants that entire arm. This looks like this position is losing. Yes, it is. Mikkelson is out. We will turn to the time on this one. Action is over. The clock in my head says that Mikkelson has done enough. That is not official. What a back and forth battle. That is even of a match as I can recall seeing. What a fun match, which ultimately is going to come down to time. Regulation expired. Stanza 1 expired. Stanza 2 expired. Stanza 3 is over. Kevin Keeney, you have the answer. Please tell us what it is.
Ladies and gentlemen, your winner, due to escaping in the least amount of time in the overtime rounds, out of the blue corner, Kristin Mikkelson.
Kristin Mikkelson.